Okay, so now we're talking about composite functions. So for number 7, you'll see you've got -1 inside M, which is inside G. Okay, so in math you work from the inside to the outside when you have things nested. Okay, so we're first going to figure out what is M of -1. So M of -1, that means I write M out, right? I just go back and write out M, and wherever I see an X, I'm going to put in a -1. So M is -4, and now here's an X, so I'm going to put a -1 there, and I'm going to square it, right? So that gives, and now using PEMDAS, I've got to do the exponent first. So -1 squared would be +1 times -4 would be -4. All right, so M of -1 is -4. Okay. Again, I could also store. I could do -1 store X and then type out -4x squared, and you would get -4 for M of -1. Okay, and so that what that means is, since that's M of -1, that goes into G, right? M of -1 is going into G. So now I'm going to do G, but I'm putting M of -1 into it, right? So that is 4. So that 4 is going into G. So I'm going to write out G. Well, G is x squared. So I don't write an x. I write what is x here? X is -4. So I'm going to write -4. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Squared plus 2. Instead of x, remember x is this -4, so I'm going to put in a -4. I'm substituting -4. I'm putting M of -1 in there wherever I see that, and then I have +1. So this is just G. All right, what I wrote out here is just G. If you look up at G, you'll see that's x squared. Right, this would be x squared plus 2x plus 1, okay? I just replaced everything, okay, with that, or not everything. I replaced the x's. So now, you just simplify it. You could type that in on your calculator, all right, or using PEMDAS. You would get -4 squared is negative times negative, that's +16. And this would be a -8, all right, plus -8 plus 1, okay? So 16 minus 8 plus 1. So you're going to get that would be 9, all right? And again, you could do -4, and you could store that into x, right? You could do -4, store x, and then type out G. All right, and then you should get a 9. All right, if you want to check your PEMDAS, because it's easy to make a mistake with PEMDAS. All right. This just takes being very careful. It's kind of like being an accountant. All right, it's not difficult. Well, don't tell an accountant that. It's it's just PEMDAS and substituting, but you just have to be careful with your steps. You have to be a little bit organized. So now this is H of G. So that means G goes into H. This is the one time when you're doing composite functions where you go right to left. All right, we're saying always when you're doing everything else, you go left to right. But with composite functions, you start at the right, and that is the function that goes into the left. So H, we're going to put G into H. Right, so I'm going to put G inside of H. Okay. So I'm going to rewrite H, right? I'm going to write H, but everywhere I see an X, I'm going to put G of X. Okay, so I'm starting out to write H. Well, that would be, starts out with a 3, right? We're writing h. So h is 3. Oh, there's an x. Well, wherever I see an x, I put the whole g of x, okay? Now, there's no numbers because we've got x's here, right? We don't have any, they didn't give us any numbers, so we're going to have x's in our numbers. So what is g of x? It's this trinomial, x squared plus 2x plus 1. All right, so there's g of x, in for x, and then go back to what h is. H was 3x minus 1. Thank God, that's all it is. 3x minus 1, okay? So here's g of x is right there inside h of x. And then now it's, again, you know, algebra 1. That's the algebra 2, is knowing what HOG means. Now it's algebra 1. Just use your distributive property. So that's 3x squared plus 6x plus 3. Bring down the minus 1. And just combine your like terms. So 3x squared plus 6x. 3 minus 1 is a positive 2. All right? And then going back to your original question, all right, that is HOG. H of G is that. Okay? And then now it's this, now we have h of x. Remember, you start from the inside. So h of x is inside of g. All right? So I'm going to start writing g of x. So let's see, g is that trinomial, right? G is x squared. So right away I have the parentheses, and instead of x, I'm going to put h. All right, so I'm going to put h, and what's h? Oh, 3x minus 1. So 3x minus 1. Okay, there's my x squared. I'm writing g. Notice I'm just writing g, and wherever I see an x, I'm putting in 3x minus 1. So there's x squared plus 2x. So this is my x again. And then I'm putting in, so x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay? Because g, right, g was just, g was g of x, I should spell it one thing. G of x, I'll just leave it, is x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay, so here's your x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay. All right, and then now, again, that's the algebra 2. All right, you put h of x into g of x, composite function. Now we have to just simplify it. All right, so we have 3x minus 1, and it's squared, so we have to do that first. We have to FOIL it. So here we go. We'll do that. I'll just go ahead and do it down here. 3x minus 1 times 3x minus 1. All right, so I'm going to do these two. So that would be 3 times 3 is 9, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, so that's 9x squared. And I've got a negative 3x. Now we do these guys, so that would be a negative 3x again. And negative times negative is a positive 1. Okay, and then I have my like terms here in the middle that I can combine. So I have 9x squared minus 6x plus 1. All right, and that is this right here. I'm going to just substitute all of this in for that squared. Okay, so that would be 9x squared minus 6x plus 1. And then now I distribute this guy, so I get plus 6x minus 2, and then I bring down the plus 1. Okay, and then now I just combine my like terms. Well, 9x can't combine with anything, so that's just 9x squared. And then I've got negative 6 plus 6, so that goes away, that's 0. So now I've got a positive 1 minus 2, positive 1. So 1 and 1 is 2, minus 2 is 0. So all of that gives me 9x squared. All right, and that was g of h of x. That's h of x inside. All right, okay, very good. So now the last composite function you have is this m of h, right? And you're putting a 3 inside. So it goes, you start at the right, so you're going to do h of 3 first. Okay? I'm going to do h of 3 first. So that means I'm putting a number in, so a number comes out. So that's nice. You can use your store function. Remember, you do 3 store x, and then just type out what h is, and that'll give you a number, and that's that. I'll do it by substituting. So that would be 3 times 3 minus 1. Okay, I just wrote h is 3x minus 1. This is my x. Okay. So that equals 9 minus 1, which is 8. So h of 3 is 8. All right. So that's that. And then now we're going to put that into m. All right. So I'm going to do m. And what I'm putting in is h of 3. Right? But h of 3 is 8. So I'm basically doing m of 8, true? So you could come down here and do 8 store x, and then type out m, and that will be your answer. So I'm going to substitute 8 in for m. Where's m? So m is negative 4x. So instead of the x, I'm going to put an 8, and I'll put a squared. Right? And then just to practice my little PEMDAS, remember you do your exponents always first. So 8 squared is 64. And then 64 times negative 4 is going to be a negative 256, I think. You can check on your calculator. All right? Okay. And that would be, going back up to the top, that is m of h of 3. M of h of 3. And that's that. Okay, good job. Hang in there, you'll get it.